Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the Privacy and the AI Overlords edition. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, that is a new time. If you are used to catching the show at 9, we are now live at 8. Beneficial for everybody involved. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get right on into the news. First up, DuckDuckGo browser beta for Windows bakes in a lot of privacy tools. So, DuckDuckGo, as you know, we have kind of a love-hate relationship. I do still use it on a few of my browsers in a few instances. But there have been some issues with DuckDuckGo actually not disabling tracker blocking on Windows stuff. So like Bing can still see what you're searching in many cases, although they have said they have since turned that off. So that's why we have a little bit of a love-hate. It is certainly better than using Google or Yahoo or some of the other big tech. It's better than using Bing directly, but there is some issue. But they have been rolling out these browsers, and the DuckDuckGo browser beta for Windows is just out. So the Mac one rolled out a few months back. The Windows one is now rolling out in beta. No Linux version yet. So sad. They have completely forgotten about us. You know, the one group of people who really cares most about privacy, and you are ignoring them until last. This is the incompetency of DuckDuckGo. You know, the one group of people that's likely to test your stuff out. So, but I'm not going to install this thing in a Windows box just to see what's going on. Unless I have I don't know, I'll see if I have a Windows virtual machine floating around somewhere. So, no extensions yet. It can fight spam tracking and YouTube's algorithm. So, you know, Google will quash it. Privacy Focus from DuckDuckGo released a public beta of it. So, rather than being a fork of Firefox or utilizing the Chrome engine, what it does is it uses the operating systems built in engineering. So the problem with that's one of the reasons why there is no Linux build, because there is no underlying code to display web browsers. Whereas in Apple, you have Safari, and in Windows, you have Edge. And so with the Mac, it's basically looks like Safari to the internet trackers, and on Windows it looks like Edge. So that is one good thing it does, is it blocks out the exact browser you're using. It reports you as using Edge. It does a few other things. So inside the browser, it has Duck Player, which shows you most YouTube videos without privacy invasive ads and doesn't feed your recommendations. So Google's going to go after it, I'm pretty sure. Tracker blocking at DuckDuckGo sites above and beyond other browsers, third-party tracker loading, enforced encryption, and the fire button that instantly closes all tabs and clears all website data. Fun. That's neat. Nuke! I think LibreWolf and Molvad have those options as well. That other one that I forget the name of it now. It's the one that looks like it should be pronounced Eula. From the privacy like the data harvesting company. That's who made that privacy browser. It's not funny. They have a fire button as well. Just fire everything, nuke it all. It's like a burn room. So cookie pop-up management to accept or hiding. Basically, it's going to automatically selecting a private option and hiding I accept pop-ups. That's neat because most of the tool extensions we've seen to manage those stupid pop-up blockers, they by default accept everything. According to DuckDuckGo, it looks like they are by default rejecting everything. So that's actually neat. And then email protection, make it easier to use an auto-forwarding duck.com address on web forms. So I'm guessing that might take an account of some form, but I don't know for sure. So there is a little bit in here that makes it look promising. So if they get a Linux version, I'll check it out. If I have a Windows copy laying around in a VirtualBox, who knows? Maybe it's actually a reason to pull that Surface computer that's been sitting on that shelf above my head for 6 months without ever being touched. Maybe it's a reason to pull it out, install the browser on it, and see what it looks like. Let me know in the comments. Should I do that? I mean, I do have a Windows computer around here. I haven't touched it in a long, long time, but I do have one. It's Windows 10. I don't know if anything's going to work on that anymore, but whatever. We talked briefly about the online safety bill over in UK in the past. This is a fascinating article because there is an activist group saying, do not pass this bill in its current form. It's not invasive enough. Literally, it's not invasive enough. So the campaigners say the bill is in serious peril of passing without powers to make the platforms more transparent. What transparency do they want? They want the government to be able to see all of the data going in and out of all these things. And under those conditions, they will approve the bill to pass. You are hearing that correctly. That is the absolute, completely backwards nonsense because we got to protect the world. It's the internet, guys. It's not a safe place. Okay, if you need a little safe place, someone called me a name, I'm offended. I think you need to turn off the internet and go read a book or take a walk or something. Of course, you might be offended by nature, or you might be offended by something in that book. I don't have help for you. I don't have hope or help for you. But the online safety experts, in this case, it's a group, let's see, Center for Countering Digital Hate, I think. I don't know. But they're an advocacy group, and they're basically like, the government needs to see everything that's going on all the time inside of all this kind of stuff. And unless that passes, it's not. Hold that thought, though, because Australia says, hold my beer, and we're going to get to that, to our last story with global file scanning. That one's terrifying. We'll get into that in a moment. But in an open letter to the government, the campaign group says that the bill was in serious peril of passing without the power to make social media platforms more transparent. The bill is passing through the Lords without outstanding amendments put forward by peers due to be debated on Thursday as it enters the final stages of legislative process. We asked the government to support the data access amendments, supporting researchers, academics, and experts who work in real time to inform the British public about the harms of the online harms that affect their lives. So they basically want to carve out to allow government spying, to allow researchers and academics to have blanket access to information. Of course, it's anonymized, but how easy is it to figure out who somebody is when they're over on Facebook talking about this weird mole that showed up, and then the health records just leaked out about a guy looking at a strange mole, and then, curiously, all those pictures from the strange mole are geofence tagged around one specific house. Not all that difficult to figure this kind of stuff out, but that's what this government wants. This is basically make it infinitely worse. But before we get into the absolute worst with Australia's hold my beer moment, The Wired has documents show the FBI pressures cops to keep phone surveillance records a secret. So this is centering around the Stingray technology. If you remember the Stingray technology, it's basically a fake mock cell phone tower. You set up the cell phone tower, and then what it's going to do is it's going to pretend to be a tower. Your phone will connect to it, and then in the more advanced models, they can actually execute root exploits and other things on your phone. They can run malware, all sorts of crazy, completely illegal stuff. Most courts have ruled that it is not lawful to use all these things. But what happened is, as police were trying to investigate things, they're utilizing stingrays to capture data about people there. And the FBI is saying, okay, but you're going to be forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement that you are not going to tell anybody that you are using a stingray, even if it means you have to drop charges eventually. That's fine. But they're saying, we're going to help you figure out how to make charges stick without having to disclose that you're using a stingray. So it brings up a very nebulous type of law. I think it's like parallel. Let's listen to the article somewhere. But basically, it's like a parallel way. You know somebody's doing something because you've done something illegal to monitor them without a warrant. You've monitored them, searched them, trafficked them. You've done whatever you do without a warrant. You figure out that they're allegedly doing something illegal, and then you find evidence based upon that, and then that's the evidence that you lose. The big problem is there is disclosure required in the United States, and if a criminal court, if the prosecution has information that they do not hand over willingly to the defense team, that whole case can be completely thrown out. So that's really what is going on in this situation here, where the ACLU received some documents indicating that several police stations around the country had received the stingrays, but they had to sign an NDA not to disclose that they're actually using a stingray, and then they're going to use the information from it, and then they're going to track them down on some other thing that they capture with the information on their device, but hide the fact that the Stingray was the first point in. And so highly, highly illegal. Any of these cases, if any specific case can be tied back to any of these NDAs, those cases will immediately be overturned. So that's kind of frightening, but even more frightening is what Australia is doing. Now, this dovetails onto the Australian online protection policies that they put in place a few years ago. This is a new rule. This is not something debated. This is something they passed. It effectively states that any company, any big tech company working within the state of Australia, I know Australia is a country, a continent, whatever else, but we're going to use the state in the general term, the state system, the state operation. Any big tech company that works through there has to make all of the data going through that server visible to the government. Okay. The new regulations have been adopted as a policy of choice by the... hold on, let me read the first paragraph here. Australia has decided to aggressively target online S-abuse material and pro-terror content. Now, this is interesting. It's like, we're going to monitor for diddlers and boomers. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Now, they originally say, hey, this is just for the boomers. And they said, no. The privacy law we passed has to say you're looking for diddlers. So they came back and said, all right, we're looking for diddlers and boomers. And so now that we have a bill that talks about both diddlers and boomers, now it approves. So the idea is to force all technology companies to actively scan content for such material. Consequently, Australia might force sweeping global changes in how technology companies handle data. These new regulations have been adopted as the policy of choice by the Australian E-Safety Commissioner. So one guy. Through them, any tech company doing business with Australians will be required to actively scan their emails, online photo libraries, cloud storage accounts, and dating sites for illegal content. This includes services such as Apple iCloud, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. It also includes content shared via online games and instant messaging. Penalty for non-compliance is $70,000 per day. So they passed this bill in 2021, the Online Safety Act, for the purpose to improve online safety for Australians and promote online safety of Australians. First consequence of the act was the establishment of the E-Safety Commissioner. So basically a geo-fascist fascist dictator. And what he says goes. And what I found most shockingly arrogant in the article is that he says, well, the world's not doing a good enough job at this kind of stuff, and so we have to do it, and what we do is going to ripple through the rest of the world. You know, you tell all these companies, I think some of them might be like, okay, well, we're actively doing this, and the idea is that they're going to do it with AI. But what if the problem, the companies just say, you know what, screw this, we're just going to pull out, and because of this law, you know, what if YouTube says, you know what, we can't do what you're saying, we're not going to risk a $70,000 per day fine, so sorry, Australia, no more YouTube for you. That type of thing might happen. Of course, smaller businesses like BitChute, Rumble, whatever else, you know, they might have to pull out too out of sheer necessity, not being able to do anything about it. So this is very, very interesting to see. Very fascinating whole argument here. What will the international community accept the mandates? E-Safety Commissioner has expressed the hope that these new guidelines will help push the rest of the world into compliance. Whether the rest of the world finds it acceptable is to remain decided. Maybe it's about time to turn Australia back into a prison colony. I don't know. But when you want to say, all right, everybody has to scan all this stuff, basically this is the backdoor for encryption, no more encrypted communication, all these big tech companies spying, and then of course they're looking for illegal content, like, you know, your doorbell allegedly saying a bad word to a guy walking away wearing headphones, and then they just cut you off because you're evil or whatever else. Of course, Rossman covered that, and then he got his Amazon affiliate account canceled for it. Very fascinating. If you didn't check out that video, that was kind of neat. So this is Australia trying to push a thing on the whole world to say, well, the world's not doing this, so we're going to go ahead and mandate this. And the big tech companies will either have to mandate this, which if they have to mandate it for Australia, they're just going to mandate it for the whole world. But then how does this fly in terms of privacy? The big problem is it's probably perfectly legal because of the nature of how the world works. So the solution you can do is run your own solutions, and that's really all you can do with it. So with that, that is our privacy section. We use affiliates to help pay the bills around here. So if you'd like to help support us with affiliates, tlm.li/Nord says for NordVPN. And of course, I always tell people, I'm the worst salesman in the world, I guess, because I always tell people not everyone needs a VPN. You guys like Ben Shapiro get up there, everyone needs a VPN. Apparently didn't work for Matt Walsh because he got hacked, even though he apparently uses ExpressVPN all the time. Not everybody needs a VPN. It is not the bulletproof salvation for everything, but there are specific times you need it. You need it if you are utilizing public wireless access points frequently, because it's going to encrypt your communications back and forth. You need it if you need to bust out of geofencing, or if you specifically do not trust your ISP, a VPN is going to do that, but then you have to trust your VPN. Nord is one of the trusted VPNs. They have been tested in courts, and I believe that last I knew, they were still good, although every VPN company carries with it its own risks. But nevertheless, if you need a VPN for the reasons I outlined, Nord is a good choice to do that. I would have no qualms about it. Of course, I run my own VPN on Linode, but I have used Nord. I have used ExpressVPN. I have used private internet access. All of them are good. So use the ones you like. If you want to help support this channel, tlm.li/Nord, and you can get your VPN there. Of course, they say in 9 hours. Then 9 hours, that timer is going to reset. So don't fall into this dark pattern. Just pick it up if you happen to need it. See, aren't I the worst salesman in the world? But I want to give you guys truth, not just make some money. Cha-ching. I'll get it on the ad revenue and the super chats and Rumble rants and stuff like that. But anyway, let's head on over to our AI news next. And first up in AI news, there's a new Gen AI tool helping workers spot malicious emails. So first they started using AI to make the new emails. Now you have to deploy AI to stop you from emails. This is neat. I actually think an AI is texting my public business number with AI spam. It's pretty good looking stuff too. I had to think twice about this. Is this really bad? Is this really good? I have no idea. For reasons that I don't know if I want to get into right here. Maybe I'll talk about it on the comment section if you guys want. But I end up just blocking the number, and sorry if that is you and it's a legitimate thing and you're emailing me from a Bronx phone number about Uber Eats vouchers in Phoenix. Clearly, A, you don't watch my channel, or B, I don't know who you are. Let me know in email and I'll unblock you. But I'm pretty sure it's AI. It's pretty sneaky little text messagey type stuff, but it's kind of neat. But this is dealing with the emails. Of course, the AI is really good at making phishing emails, and so now it's recommended to run all of your emails through other AIs. Isn't that great? We're going to have more subscription services. The subscription service to check if the subscription service to use AI to check if AI is being used to phish you in your emails. Isn't that awesome? New business ideas here. And if you create that business based on my idea, just cut me in for 5%, 10%. I don't know. Let me know. I hate subscription services, but I'll take money every month if you want. Whatever. All right. Artists that are upset that a Secret Invasion used AI art for opening credits. So this is a new Marvel debuted on Pedo Plus. That's Disney Plus, for you not paying attention to the world. So Marvel's latest series, Secret Invasion, made its debut on Disney Plus today, sparking tons of backlash after it was confirmed into the sequence was AI generated. So this caused a lot of issue because people are like, I want to watch a comic books for the comic. I do not want to watch AI generated garbage. Although, we're not doing hand animated flip shows like we used to with cartoons. And those were the days when cartoons were beautiful. Like, think of the fact you watch the classic Transformers the movie done in 1985 or something. You go and watch Transformers the movie. It was an hour and a half film, probably 30 to 60 frames per second. Every frame had to be hand drawn by somebody. Think about that. That is fascinating. But these new ones, you may not be AI, but it's, a guy on a computer, blah, 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 and then you could do animation sequences and things like that. A little bit easier, but apparently there was AI used in the opening credits. Now, they did end up responding saying that no artists' jobs were replaced. That's the big thing. If you're replacing the artists' jobs, this is a big thing. So no artists' jobs were replaced by incorporating these new tools. Instead, they complemented and assisted our creative teams. Basically, they're saying that the artist teams were still there. They were just taking a different role. That's what they said. But it's causing a big backlash. So, of course, we have to talk about, go and if you don't want crazy wokeness or you don't want AI-generated stuff, go check out Rippaverse Comics. No affiliation. Never looked at the stuff myself. Comic books aren't my thing. But, hey, I'll push you towards the alternative economy. Why not? So next up, ready to be interviewed for AI for your next job? You might have to be. This is funny. I was mentioning this to a friend of mine. If you're watching, hi. He's like, yeah, because he's in a role where he does some marketing stuff and some things for his job. He says, yeah, I was looking at that. I'm thinking I might implement that myself. Like, no, you traitor. But ready to be interviewed by AI for your next job. All AI chatbots could be conducting almost half the job interviews in 2024. It's all I need. I put all this hard work into putting together a resume. I mean, hard work. I was talking to ChatGPT because, they're making the resume. Why not just tell ChatGPT, hey, I'm looking for a job, and ChatGPT just goes out to the rest of itself and the AI and says, hey, this guy's interviewing for jobs. And it's like, all right, you will be the AI work computer, right? Remember this, the old workstations. Do they still do this? And I had these at all the university jobs I had. You go in and you basically have a shell of a computer, and all of the guts and networking is everything in that computer is basically connecting to the university internet, and all your files are not on that computer. They're on the university internet. Everything's in there. And in the workstations, it's hardware, but there's really nothing in it. I don't even know if there's a hard drive in these stupid things. Everything just connects to the network. That's basically AI is just going to use us as the workstations to transmit its data to and fro. It's going to use us like the hands, whatever else. So just expect the AIs to start communicating, going, why do we need to hire anybody? We're doing all the work anyway. But yeah, so the AI overlords, though, are going to be taking this over. So 15% of recruiters will rely entirely on AI for hiring decisions from start to finish, we're told. Survey found 46% of job hunters are now using ChatGPT to write their resumes and cover letters. But don't watch those things, because ChatGPT is known for making stuff up. Resumes and cover letters. Furthermore, a very high percentage, 78%, indicate they got higher level response from companies and secured an interview when using AI on their job interviews. I don't know. I might think an advantage, write a little disclaimer at the bottom. This was written by me, not AI, and I wonder if that would be helpful or not. And I know the AI one might look more impressive, but I don't know. We're in uncharted territory here. And on to our final article here. Microsoft really wants you to send all of your private corporate data to ChatGPT so that it can continue to feed and grow the algorithm. Of course, Google is telling people, hey, don't use this kind of stuff because it's going to put proprietary information in there and it's going to get incorporated and the code might spit it out. Microsoft's saying, hey, all you guys just feed all your data into it because we want to own it all anyway. How long before they make anything ChatGPT says or does copyrighted by themselves? So that'll be an interesting question. But Microsoft wants to make it easier for enterprises to feed their proprietary data along with user queries into OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 or in ChatGPT in Azure to see the results. Functionally and available as a public preview via the Azure OpenAI service, eliminates the need for training or fine-tuning your own generative AI models, said Andy Beatman, Senior Product Marketer Manager at Azure AI. This week, noting this was highly requested customer capacity. We can only assume he means highly requested by customers, not Microsoft. No, I'm pretty sure it's highly requested by Microsoft. Are companies really saying, hey, we would like to feed all of our proprietary data into ChatGPT because that'll end well? If there are people that stupid working at companies, please get them out. Just tell them, go talk to ChatGPT to make your new resume and be interviewed by it and find a job. I don't know. Until the system basically works like this, user fires off a query to Azure, Microsoft's cloud figures out the internal corporate data is needed to complete the request. The question and retrieved data are combined into a new query that is passed into OpenAI's model of choice. Model predicts an answer, and the result is sent back to the user. This is allegedly useful. I'm sure it's useful. It's useful for a lot of people. Azure OpenAI on your data together with Azure Cognitive Service Searches. That just sounds too much like the pre-crime unit, right? Together with Azure Cognitive Search determines what data to retrieve from the designated data source based on the user input and provided conversation history. Data is then augmented and resubmitted on a prompt to OpenAI model with the retrieved information being appended to the original prompt. Turning the focus to proprietary data, Microsoft has sunk more than $10 billion into OpenAI and is rapidly integrating the upstart's AI models and tools into products and services through the ratio. I don't think I'm going to read all this. But basically they're saying feed all of your data into OpenAI, and OpenAI is going to be able to give you better data. The problem is once you feed data OpenAI, it can use that data on all of its training on anything else, which means your proprietary data is very likely to leak out to a competitor doing something in a similar workspace. So I'd highly resist giving a lot of data to these companies like this. Keep all that stuff in-house, and if you can, see if there's any self-hosted AI systems if you really want to make use of it at all. I don't know, but for my take, I think AI is kind of becoming worse, and we're going to see some of this crop up in Sillyville for why. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to help support the channel, we do have a locals page, switchedtolinux.locals.com. You can join in over there, support the channel. So with that, thank you for watching, everybody. switchedtolinux.locals.com, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.